Everybody, before I get this mounted on the rifle and do the tracking test on it, I want to go over what came in the box. So I ordered the 5x25x56 Toric scope. This thing is super nice. I used this for the first time with James Eagleman down at his long range school, Barber Creek in Alabama. Was super impressed with the clarity, and you can read Mirage through this because the glass is so good. So that's part of the reason I ordered this. Obviously it comes with the scope, a sunshade. I also ordered their larger turret for the top. These numbers are super big and my eyesight's not so great at 58. Zero stop, some miscellaneous wrenches. I ordered their scope caps. Comes with a sticker and a chamber flag, which you know I'm not going to use because we make them. And a lens wipe. Also come with a target. That's it. This whole package cost me, they do have a nice veterans discount there. It was $15.56 shipped. I think that's relatively a good deal for the quality of the scope. So let me do some tracking tests and I'll get it mounted on the rifle and we'll come back. All right, quick explanation of what I'm doing here. I'm checking how this scope tracks. So let's say you dial 30 minutes and expect to get 30 minutes, but the scope does not track well, you could end up with something way off. So the longer range you shoot, the more important this is. So I want to give credit to James Eagleman at Barber Creek Long Range School down in Alabama for his videos. And over here on my building, that is their scope tracking target, I guess you could call it, that they sell. So I bought that, and then what I have here is my scope is mounted on, this is actually a weight for our dyno. It weighs 50 pounds, and I just built a mount there to mount the scope. This holds it steady. What you do is you set that target up, you measure the exact distance. This is a Bosch laser rangefinder. I don't really like it, to be honest, because it seems like it floats a little bit, but it's probably closer than a tape measure. You use the Ballistic app from Eagleman, and you put the distance in to set the target. Then you dial your turrets for 30 MOA, and then you look through your reticle and see what it gives you down there, and that gives you a correction factor. So this scope is the closest that I've tested on anything I own. I probably tested 10 scopes at this point. The correction factor on this is basically nothing. It was 1.0077. You're not going to get any closer to 1 than that. So what you dial on that turret is what you can expect to see downrange. Just real quick, I've done this before, actually shooting rounds downrange at 100 yards. You shoot at a bullseye, you dial up 10, shoot again, dial up 10, shoot up 10, or whatever you want to dial, and then you go down and measure the center of those groups. If you shot really precise, perfect groups, it would probably work, but typically the groups, you're measuring something to the center of what you shot. This is a much more accurate way to do that. So hope you learned something like I did. Have a great day. Next up, I use a machinist digital level to do this. I like to know where everything is. So that is my handguard. As you can see, it is 1/10 tipped. You're never going to get closer than that when you're shooting, so we're going to leave it there. This is the base of my scope base. That is at 0.0 a few seconds ago. It was also at -0.1. This is the actual top of the receiver. That is now measuring up 0.2. A few seconds ago, before I did this, they were all exactly 0.1 down. So if I do this again, probably kind of depends on where you place this. That one's exactly 0.2. The handguard is 0.1 down. Anyway, I start out with this so I have some type of reference in case I want to double check the level when I'm done. So a lot of times, because my handguard, my receiver, and the mount are so close, they're within 0.1 of a degree, I can use that handguard to level my level. I'll show you that when I get to that point. Okay, next step, fellas, ladies. I put the caps on very, very loose because I have done this when I started doing this and tipped the rifle and had the rifle actually fall out by not putting the caps on. So right now I'm setting the eye relief. I will tell you something right now. I am 100% amazed at the eye relief distance on this and how much give there is in it. I'm also super impressed with this zoom. That is the smoothest zoom I've ever felt on anything. And there's a ton of room in this for the eye relief. I've never seen anything like it. I've got it zoomed in all the way on 30. Best way to do this is to pick the position you're going to usually shoot from. Typically this rifle I'm shooting from a bench or prone, and then set the eye relief up with the zoom maxed out. Once you get that, then we'll go into leveling this, and I don't think my wedges are going to work, but I'll get to that in a minute. Got my eye relief set. Typically I use these wedges, and they go right here, but because this gap is so short, the wedges will not fit. So the other way I find that works great, I just showed you how level all this is. This is at 0.1 up right now, up to the left. I've checked this quite a few times. It works fine. And I just got super lucky because I just did that by eye. That is also exactly 0.1 up. So because we know how level this was, I just showed that a few minutes ago, this is going to work fine. I'm going to torque the cap screws down. Something else I hate seeing, this gap in the caps. I don't know why I'm so ADHD about that, but they need to be equal side to side for me, or it drives me nuts. So probably doesn't matter, just something that I do. All right, I'm back. Stuff takes forever. So other than zeroing this now, I don't have much left to do. So as you'll see on the top, the digital level, it's showing 0.1. I've got my SG pulse leveled to that. They were 0 a second ago. I bumped the rifle. I've got it set up so I only have a half a degree each side for the pulse because of the long range I'm shooting. So if you watch, when I hit 5/10, it'll turn red. I go the other way, 5/10, it turns blue. So I have a half a degree left or right. That's closer than any bubble levels I'm gonna get. You can actually record your wobble and how much you move through the SG Pulse app. I really like the level. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. It actually shows up in the reticle for me. For whatever reason that is, it's something I can't explain about the human body because I'm too stupid. But anyway, it does work. So I'm gonna get this zeroed, and really impressed so far. Well, all right. Totally impressed with this thing. The caps that come with this are incredibly tight. The front one actually has an insert that screws in like your sunshade would, and this snaps on. Super nice, never seen anything like it. This 70 MOA base worked out to where I could zero this at 50, which I don't even know why I did that, but I did anyway. I still have about 6 MOA down, and I've got 123 I can come up. So depending on what round I'm shooting at a mile, it takes me between 89 and 93, depending on the day and the ammo, to reach a mile. This should easily get me to my next goal, which would be 2,000 or beyond. And super impressed with the scope. Everything about it feels quality. I've been happy with the Vortex Strike Eagle for a long time. Now that I've spent real money on a scope and bought something else, the difference really is night and day with the feel of the turrets, the clicks, the smoothness of the zoom. The parallax is dead on with the numbers from the short range I've got here at my place. It only goes out 115 yards is back there at the top of that pile. But super impressed. Well worth the money. Can't wait to get back to the mile. It's supposed to get warm here next week, and I'm going to head back. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned some from this. Have a great day.